Crusader Storytime. I'm so happy to be with you today. And when Mrs. Sellers asked me to read, my thought jumped to dogs. I love dogs. As you can see, I have a class pet. This is Zach, who greatly misses his fourth graders. He's just the best dog ever. The bestest dog ever was my Roxy. And I've got a picture here. She was a wonderful, wonderful dog. So as you can see, I love dogs. And we're going to read about a dog today. So the story that we're going to read today is The Dog Who Belonged to No One, which is sad to think of a doggy not belonging to anyone. So let's see what we find out. Once there was a small dog with crooked ears. He belonged to no one. Had little floppy ears. Roxy had little floppy ears. And once there was a wisp of a girl named Leah. The dog who belonged to no one was a perfectly nice fellow with a perfectly nice temperament. He wasn't a loud barker, nor was he a biter, jumper, fussy eater, or grumbler. Leah lived with her mother, a baker, and her father, a baker, in a crooked little house on the edge of town. It always smelled wonderful there, like bread in the oven and cake. I'd like a piece of cake right now. The porch had a soft night light. The dog who belonged to no one tried hard to be helpful every day. When the baseballs of summer sailed into the woods, he found the baseballs. When the air turned cold and mittens went missing, he found the mittens. Not that anyone took notice of a small dog with crooked ears. So he tried to be very, very helpful. And he just wanted a friend. Every Sunday, the busiest day for bakers, Leah saddled up her bike with fine breads and gorgeous cakes to deliver to town. The dog who belonged to no one spent his days quite alone, exploring the narrow streets and wide boulevards of town after town, all through the changing seasons. He longed for a friend. There were many hills, and Leah pedaled very hard. Her legs grew tired. To make herself feel less alone, she thought up stories as she pedaled. The stories were like friends on her long ride to town. As days turned slowly to night, the dog who belonged to no one tried to outrun the night. Run, run, run! But a small dog could not outrun the night. As the night grew darker, he trembled. He shook. To make himself less lonely, he pictured a yard and a porch with a soft light. He pictured a cozy corner where he could tuck himself inside and dream of belonging to someone. He just wants a home. And as day turned slowly to night, Leah pedaled all the way home. Pedal, pedal, pedal to the crooked little house, where she climbed into bed and tucked herself inside herself and dreamed. Wonder what she was dreaming about. On Sunday morning, a storm whipped into town, a great big Sunday soaker. The dog who belonged to no one tried to outrun the storm. Run, run, run. At that very moment, a wisp of a girl was racing home. Pedal, pedal, pedal. So they're both running. The doggy just doesn't know where he's running, and Leah's trying to get home. But the small dog could not outrun the storm. How wet he was, soaked to the bone. Leah was soaked right to the bone. So they're both just sopping wet and dripping. He shook, he shivered, he dripped. When the wind blew, his crooked ears blew. She shook, she shivered, she dripped. When the wind blew, her hair blew too. So it's just pouring down rain. The dog who belonged to no one ran and ran to the edge of town and onto the porch of the crooked little house. Leah pedaled and pedaled to the edge of town, right to the porch where her parents were waiting. And a small dog was waiting, and the soft light was on. I wonder what's going to happen. Inside, there was bread in the oven and cake, and the towels were warm. Look who sees. I want you to look and see who's in towels. You got a puppy in a towel and a little girl in a towel. You think you know what's going to happen? In time, the dog who belonged to no one stopped shivering. Leah stopped too. They both had cake. Afterward, he tucked himself inside himself on Leah's chair. And as day turned to night, he dreamed. And in his dream, he had a friend. And when he woke up, Leah was there. "Hello," she said. And she stayed right there telling him a story about a wisp of a girl and a small dog with crooked ears. So they found each other. They have become friends. And they belong to each other all through the changing seasons. There, whoa. There she is riding her bike with her little dog running beside her. And that's true with our Roxy too. Roxy was a shelter dog. And actually my daughter Hannah is the one who picked her out. And then we had her for 15 years. She was just a wonderful, wonderful puppy dog. So thank you for joining me today. It was really fun to read to you guys, and come back next week for Crusader Storytime.